All right, so what's your pick for the most disappointing?
The most disappointing movie of the year is, for me, Public Enemies. I like Public Enemies. I think it's a good film, but I was expecting more out of Michael Mann, a John Dillinger story, and Johnny Depp. I've grew up around here hearing so many stories about John Dillinger. I mean, he's like a legend, a tall tale almost. You know, breaking out of prison with a gun made out of soap with shoe polish. And it just felt like the movie was just unfocused. It didn't really, I wasn't sure. It was called Public Enemies, but it was only on one of them. So I was kind of hoping for a movie about more of the other gangsters in John Dillinger's gang. Babyface Nelson was terrific in the movie, but they sadly rewrite history in there, which I did not like, and they sort of make John Dillinger almost like the last man standing of like the 1930s gangster era.
Well, I gave the movie a mild see it in theaters verdict, mostly because the acting and the characters carried the picture for me. But yeah, I do agree with you that if you have to walk, it feels like I had to walk in there and know about the Public Enemies, you know, like John Dillinger and his gang. But I think the other John Dillinger movies that I reviewed on our page, they also rewrote history. And I think the reason why they have The Last Man Standing is because some people actually died after Dillinger did, and I don't know if people would have been satisfied with an ending where you didn't know what happened to the rest of the gang. I don't think it's that bad of a picture. I mean, I think that...
This is not a bad movie. I was just disappointed by it. I was really expecting something a little more special, especially from Michael Mann. He's one of my favorite filmmakers, and he just sort of, I think he delivered this one below the bar.
Yeah, well, I've said this the whole time. I think the 1973 version's better. It too has its flaws. It's in my review, but I think... I still stand by what I said. Public Enemies, I gave it a mild see it in theaters verdict, and you know, I still stand by it. The characters are very good, they're very strong, but yeah, it can be a bit unfocused at times. Now, my pick for the most disappointing movie of the summer, now, I was stuck on two movies, but in the end, I'm going to go with both Terminator Salvation and Bruno. Now, with Terminator Salvation, it stars Christian Bale as John Connor, and it's continuing the battle against the machines. But why I was disappointed with the movie was it felt like it was like a show. It felt to me like it was just a showcase for special effects rather than, you know, a story. The story is supposed to be John Connor's resistance trying to rescue Kyle Reese, and I felt like the story kept getting lost in the special effects. You know, there's countless action scenes, and they keep happening. There's a few moments of dialogue, and then there's the action scene, then the moment of dialogue and action scenes. And I mean, granted, the other Terminator films did have action sequences, but they had strong characters and a worked out storyline. And I felt that Terminator Salvation lacked them both. And I also thought the sound effects and the were loud and they were overdone. But the only positive things I can say is Sam Worthington cast as Marcus Wright and Anton Yelchin as Kyle Reese. They were both very good in this movie. But the movie looks good, but I just felt like it lacked a strong plot and strong characterization. Okay, so now we're going to go back to our top 5 list. So Brendan will start back up with his top 2 pick.
For my number 2 pick, District 9. What can I say about this movie except it was one of the best marketed movies of the year? I mean, if you look at something like Last House on the Left, where they showed you the entire movie in the movie trailer, and then something like District 9, where you had no idea what the movie was exactly about. I mean, when we walked out of the theater, someone said to us, you know, I thought it was going to be like Independence Day. And it's really this small sort of, not even action, but it's sort of this thriller, you know, this man being pursued by a government agency. It's really well done, it's really thought-provoking, and it's about time we get a science fiction movie of this caliber. It's been a long time since we have a film like this. I can't think of the last time we had a good science fiction movie like this since maybe Event Horizon. But if you didn't see District 9, it lives up to the hype, and I really hope they somehow sequelize it, but not make it as bad as they did other films. It's probably like the next 28 weeks later kind of franchise starting up.
Okay, well, my number 2 pick is also District 9. It's about the aliens that hover over Johannesburg, South Africa, and District 9 was a film I didn't know what to expect. I didn't remember seeing any trailers for this movie before it came out, so I walked in there not knowing what it was about. And in the end, I'm glad I went in not knowing what to expect, because I got to see a film that had a lot of metaphors for things like fear of foreigners, illegal immigration, and segregation. And science fiction can be used to talk to the viewers, be like, what if this happened? How would I feel if I was in this situation? And the movie is not just about the special effects or the action scenes, although this film does have some in the movie. Actually, both the action films and the special effects help tell the story. It's part of the story. It's not the story. It's just a part of it. And also, you really feel sympathy for a lot of the characters, like the aliens and Wickus, who is the person in charge of evacuating all the aliens from District 9 into another area. And even though Wickus, I thought, sometimes I could like him, sometimes I could dislike him, because even though he's likable, there are times when he does things that I wouldn't normally agree with. But District 9 was fascinating. It mixed science fiction with a bit of action, a metaphorical message, and special effects into one of the best films of the summer.
And for my number one pick, Inglourious Basterds. This movie I saw more than one time in theater. It took more than one time to really gauge this movie. I watched my original review and I would probably have said all completely different things. Not the opposite of what I said there, but the film was just beautifully done. I thought for a Quentin Tarantino film, he sort of ditched his almost pop culture dialogue and stuck to it was more plot related scenes, but the first chapter of the movie is just one long 20-minute dialogue scene that's perfectly done. It was the most entertaining movie I saw this year. When I first saw the previews of it, I was not looking forward to it. I thought, Quentin Tarantino's career was going down. But with this movie, I can't wait to see what he does next, because he did a war film that really wasn't a war film, just like The Hurt Locker was an Iraq war film. He really took World War II and flipped it on its head. And really, whoever makes a World War II film after this, they have a big shadow to live up to. I wouldn't call it the next Saving Private Ryan. It's a completely different, fun adventure movie. And that's what we haven't had in a long time, is a good adventure movie. And Quentin Tarantino gave us that in Inglourious Basterds. It really lived up to the hype. I loved how the film was done. It was perfectly acted. And Christoph Waltz was perfect in it as the character Hans Landa. I really hope he returns and does some sort of other period piece movie like this, maybe another Inglourious Basterds. I don't know. I'm glad I got to see it more than once in the theater. It's making a bunch of money, so good for him. It's my number one pick, and I wouldn't change that with anything else.
All right, well, my number one pick of the best movie of the summer is 500 Days of Summer. It's that movie where Tom is played by Joseph Gordon-Levitt. He's a greeting card writer, and one day at a meeting he meets Summer, who is his boss' personal assistant. And I'm not a big fan of romantic comedies because, in my opinion, once you've seen one romantic comedy, you've pretty much seen them all. One person meets another person, falls in love, tries to get the other person to go out and date. They have a few fights, they love each other, they might get married, and everything's happy and good. But what I liked about 500 Days of Summer was its creativity. The film is presented out of order, and you're introduced to each scene by which of the 500 days that it is. The film uses split screens in many good scenes. Like there is one scene near the end where Levitt had just had a fight with Summer, and he comes back to her apartment, and it's split screen. Like on one side is his expectations, and the other side is what's really happening. And I thought that was very interesting. And there's even a old tribute to the old art films of the 50s and 60s that I liked very much. Deschanel and Levitt had great chemistry. In many romantic comedies, the two leads sometimes are just major actors that are cast in the part, and sometimes they just don't have the chemistry. But here, I felt like I was watching a real dating relationship. Their situations felt relatable to me, and they were very realistic. And the movie was fresh because, to take a line from the poster, this is not a love story. It's a story about love. And when I left the theater, I remember smiling, and I just can't wait till that movie comes out on DVD. Out of all the movies, I enjoyed this one the most. Alright, so that was our top 5 list, and of course our pick for the most disappointing and worst movies. Thank you very much for watching, and on behalf of both of us, we're very glad that we were able to do these reviews, and thank you to the subscribers and our viewers, because without you guys, we wouldn't be making these video reviews for you guys.
No, thanks for all the subscriptions and all the nice comments. And just because the summer season's done, we might be slowing down with how many videos we put up with school and jobs starting up. But we're going to keep doing reviews, maybe a lot more reviews of movies maybe you haven't heard of, and stuff that's on DVD and hard to read, hard to get. But we'll still be going to theaters and seeing whatever movies are out.
Yeah, definitely. And again, continue. We still have all these movies that we put on our lists. They're still up on our channel. So if you want to watch our original reviews to go more in depth of why we liked and disliked them, feel free to do so. And if you want to post any comments about what you thought were, you guys thought were the best movies of the summer, or what movies you didn't like or you were disappointed with, feel free to do that. And thank you for watching. I'm Rob.
I'm Brendan.
And we'll see you at the next edition of R&B Reviews.